Looking to lend a little hand this holiday season? Do your part in helping out those in need. You might want to consider getting involved on some level with Operation Secret Santa. Here's a quick overview. Formally kicking off on December 15th, Operation Secret Santa, that's hashtag OSS, is a world grassroots, strictly people-driven, Christmas charity, telethon-styled internet campaign. Referral marketing, or what's otherwise known as word of mouth, drives the project's big red sleigh, with all money, donations, and the like going directly to the needy who are selectively sponsored. The four main categories of participants we're looking for include 1. Live streaming web show hosts, speakers, producers, and performers. 2. Operator matchmaking elves, making their lists and checking them twice. 3. Secret Santa sponsors. And 4. People in any place around the world living in need, worthy of a little Christmas hand up. This year's organizers are presently working on mobilizing and building upon last year's preliminary success, with donation levels capped at a suggested price value limit of $1,000. If you've any further questions, be sure to drop by WPRPN.com or check out our groups on both Facebook and Minds.com via a keyword search of simply Operation Secret Santa, hashtag OSS.
Merry Christmas, everybody! Merry Christmas!
Welcome, everybody, friends, folks, foes, and fellow pirate mateys to our latest edition of this year's Operation Secret Santa. It is our 10th annual, as a matter of fact. Bit of a train wreck of an introduction there, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Just have to roll with the punches. 10th annual Operation Secret Santa, hashtag OSS 2024 World Christmas Charity Outreach, Relief, and Awareness. Hey, let's not forget consciousness raising. Campaign Extravaganza. As with years past, 2024's scheduled 10-day telethon has a lot of moving parts. Open sourced, and ad hoc live streaming affiliates, talent, and auction components will be featured front and center. I myself, of course, as always, am your host, Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. WPRPN.com is a website we'll encourage people to drop by, take a look at. Click on the Operation Secret Santa web link. We'll share it here with you via the Peanut Gallery through Restream so that people can manage to get a copy of the link via YouTube and D Live. Unfortunately, Facebook has, if you can believe this, suspended us, right, from out of the blue. No real clear indication or reason why this has been the case. And look, Joe Emanon responding to that appropriately. Just seeing his expression there via the slideshow end of things, of course. So Joe Emanon out of Suffolk County, New York. Talked a little bit about him last night. We also will be probably showcasing an encore presentation of Ave Maria, Robert Stanley's rendition of Ave Maria, here in just a few minutes for those of you who missed out in hearing this last night. So a lot of great things in store and planned for you over the course of the next, anywhere between an hour and 90 minutes. It is a 10-day affair, so we like to pace ourselves and conserve our energy. We just got back from our regular adult elf gig a short while before going live, hence the little bit in the way of technical interference and confusion from right off the top. We could maybe go back and actually edit that before we put together the archived end of things, share that with the wider listening world. The magic of editing tools these days really is quite something. So just looking at a few people, the pictures that they've sent and shared with us, some of the folks that we have either decided to sponsor or are weighing the possibility of supporting anyone from, as we're seeing here on the screen right now, grandmother of 6 who'd like to help out her grandkids if possible. And we'll provide more information and details with you in just the next day or so as things become a little clearer. I believe she's based out of New York. We did have her message actually stored here on the computer. Like I said, if we had a little more time to prep for this, because we do have other items and material that we're ready to address and to cover, but this is quite important. Yvonne Malfont, of course, out of Coquitlam, British Columbia, backing him once again this year, as with the likes of Stephanie Wilcox. I think New York is her home state. So if we have people, boots on the ground, living in the lower mainland of, Vancouver, the Coquitlam region, or New York State, as an example, you can show up on these people's doorstep potentially with a bag of groceries, maybe clothing, household items that they could find to be of some value, or show some appreciation in receiving. You'd be amazed. Angels in human form, and we're not necessarily talking Hell's Angels here either, although with the cover photo that we ran with for tonight's live stream, yes, it was the famous, or as some might say, infamous toy run part of what's made its way into popular culture, with bikers of, I think, all sorts. They don't like to be referred to as gang members, I guess, but rather motorcycle clubs, motorcycle club members, among other things, or outlaw bikers, but definitely no gangs. Oof, that's taking it. Better be careful with that sort of language. If you're spending, if you're hanging around with them, because that tends not to go over too well. But yeah, I mean, you got Christian bikers and all sorts, I think, that do take part in these toy runs. So, but this is a completely different sort of thing altogether. We should remind people the format, approach, the formula we have in place here, the Magic Christmas Elixir, we've been working on perfecting over time. Unlike anything you've heard of or seen before, Secret Santa, as it's known conventionally in the West, forget about it. This is nothing of the sort. Do we solicit donations? No, we do not want your money. What we'd like you to do is get in touch with people, either that we have vetted, that you can choose to selectively sponsor. We've made some of our decisions at this point, and we're going to continue to finalize those. Lock in who exactly who it is that we're wanting to back this year. And it would have been great if we could have managed to generate more support throughout the course of 2024 as far as PayPal. was concerned because really, half of everything that we do generate outside of the campaign itself, where we do not directly solicit any donations, half we set aside for Operation Secret Santa. Well, the other half is what we use to pay our basic operating expenses. So, definite something to reflect upon, food for thought for people that maybe have been listening to the show in its various formats, whether the Friday night feature shows, the weekly news items that we put together, Late Night in Korea, or Operation Secret Santa itself. People can really get engaged at any level, just even passing the word along to friends, family, and coworkers is something that's really powerful. So, and look at what we were just talking about this with some of our adult students today at this earlier ELF gig that we, that we were working at, basically taking care of before we dropped in and got the live stream going. That outfits like UNICEF, the Red Cross, Salvation Army, so on and so forth. Do you know how much money, when you do make donations, do you know how much of your money actually goes to the people that you're intending it to? Let's bring in Alan, actually, out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, who's been waiting patiently there in this, to connect and come online, along with now it looks like Roger Hanson out of West Frankfort, Illinois. Can either of you guys hear me? And let's hear from you. Dig the avatar, by the
Hello.
way, Alan. Hey there.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
I'm Alan. I'm with WDRN and WBOU 106.9 Chicago. We are supporting independent broadcasters, and I'm happy to be part of the show.
Good stuff. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the drone situation, actually. That's what you're going to bring to the table tonight, along with hopefully just a brief rundown regarding your military history, some of the health issues that you've been struggling with. Perhaps, I'm not sure if you want to really get into it or not, but my dad recently just, fortunately, I was really worried about him. He's 76 now and, getting up there a little bit. Led a pretty, well, he drank a lot, I guess. He was no stranger to the bottle, but and chewed tobacco. He loved his Red Man and beach nut and so forth. But he's lived a pretty clean lifestyle, all things considered. Sat too much in the denturist chair, with his job producing dentures so many years. That's an issue that creeps up on people. The sitting business apparently is just, it can kill you. But hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus is what we brought up last night. Sonia dropped in, Sonia Galactic, and actually Robert Stanley, someone who probably Roger here would appreciate getting the chance to interview. So, but the hydrocephalus, thank God, there was a specialist who came in. They thought it was like back pain, back issues, disc problems, and they were getting ready to go in and start, chiseling away on a couple of his discs. That would have been a big mistake. How many people die because of these unnecessary surgeries every year in hospitals around the world? It's almost like one of the largest contributors, leading causes of unnecessary deaths. So thank God though the old doctor who came out of retirement to help Pops was he took a second look at him and he's like, wait a minute, I know what you've got. And within just a few minutes of the second visit, realized it was this hydrocephalus business, something to do with water on the brain, and went in and they thank God we live in a day and age as well where we have the technology, medical technology, similar to you, Alan, who you were just kind of with the pre-show end of things talking about your femoral artery issues. I don't know if you want to get into that right now, if you think it
Yeah,
would be of
actually,
any.
I can speak of it.
Okay.
Basically, what happened was when I was in the Army, I was a long distance runner. My duty level was heavy, meaning that I had to pass higher PT scores than most people did. And I was a good, consistent speed runner, meaning I could do full pack with, my arms and, go 20 miles. Okay. And
PT stands for what exactly?
physical training.
Gotcha. Okay.
So basically, I would be able to pass. And example, normally you would only have to do maybe 75 push-ups if you were just going through regular basic training. But due to my MOS, I actually had to do 125.
Now I think they only require what, 5? If you can, 5
I'm
or
not
10?
sure if they expect that anymore. It's gotten very goofy.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was due to the fact that I was a tanker. I was a mechanic and a tanker. So anything that I touched, weighed a couple of tons, and I had to know how to use it, and I had to be strong enough in order to save somebody else if they got trapped or something like that as well. So it's very demanding anyway.
Sure.
The amount of labor that you actually have to do and how much weight you're working with. But I learned some very good skills there. During that time, though, I was regular jogger. I'd jog before I'd take the car, things like that. And nonetheless, when I got home and I was discharged, I came home and I couldn't buy any blue jeans. There wasn't a single pair of blue jeans. Even if I had, gone up 2 or 3 sizes, my thighs would not fit in the blue jeans. That's how big I was. I was as big as Lou Ferrigno, the Hulk, back in the day. I mean, I literally had measurable stats. But nonetheless, over a year and a half, 2 years, I lost the bulk and stuff like that out of the Army, not continuing to do that. And that's one of my biggest regrets, is I didn't continue. But nonetheless, what happened was I had expanded all my veins and stuff like that. And in older age, with a little bit of goop inside of them as well, they started to collapse. And the story goes that I have a roommate, and he was actually getting out of the hospital. He called me up, and I went and got in the car, and I went in order to pick him up. Well, I pulled up to the wrong entrance, and the vein in my leg had collapsed, and I had walked into the entrance, but I could hardly make it back to the car. Okay, and it just so happened to happen in the parking lot of the hospital. So I pull the car around, and he's all happy to see me. He gets in. I'm ready to go home, and I says, "No, you're not. We're trading places. You got to help me get in." And within 12 hours, actually, was in surgery. And they put in some stents, and they didn't work. They failed. So after they had failed, I'm sitting there in the hospital, and they're talking about trying to salvage the leg, literally. They were talking about cutting it off from the knee down. And I had almost resigned to that happening. And they says, well, there is a surgery that we can do, but it's extremely invasive, and you are going to be laid up. And it's generally one of the more bothering surgeries rather than losing your leg. It's a chance we can take in order to save it. And that's where they go in. They cut me open in the calf. They cut me open at the thigh, and they cut me open at the knee. And they follow a vein instead of an artery. They follow a vein and cut out pieces of the vein, and then they sew those together, and then they take a tube and they go in from the hip, and they go down the inside of the leg, following where the femoral artery would go, and they reverse the vein and replace the artery with the vein. and they did that all the way down to my ankle. And the recovery time was supposed to be like 2 months, but I have some supplements and stuff like that I use, and I also have a Terra wand that speeds up healing. So I was actually walking 30 days before I was supposed to. It's this week that I started walking again. So it's doing very well.
What kind of wand did you mention?
It's a Terra wand. It broadcasts in a terahertz frequency. And this is something that only people that wake up and look at the sun every morning and wake up with the sunshine, and it gives them such a rush. It's because the sun is at such an angle to the horizon that allows terahertz in order to come through in the atmosphere.
Nice.
Which is the only time it does. It's at sunrise and sunset that these terahertz go through. And what it is energy that charges up the...
We lost you there, Alan. That charges up the energy that... Roger, can you hear him anymore?
He went.
I had another call come in. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. Now, your audio is completely switched. Did you just switch devices?
Sounds better.
Let me see here.
Your voice is changed completely. It's like you went from a phone to Skype.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah, sure.
It was just weird.
There we go.
There you, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
when I got a phone call, it interrupted it.
This is great. It's like radio quality audio is what I'm hearing. It's good.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, so
But,
we don't want to keep this too long because we got to get to the Christmas end of things. Plus the drones, of course. You've got to get to bed because you're on you've got your schedule there.
Yeah, it's a little bit later for me. I also have to wake up in the morning in order to prep for tomorrow's shows. I handle Mouse in Your Coffee morning show, and then Robert Morningstar, and then I do Mouse in Your Coffee again, and then we have the Roger Sayer show tomorrow.
And this is all run through homenetwork.tv. Is that not the case?
That's correct. We have homenetwork.tv, freedomnation.tv, streamlife.tube, the Global Voice Network. We have WDRN that is providing the routing for our services. And everyone involved is the friendly broadcasters called the NET, the friendly broadcasters to First Amendment and Second Amendment rights.
Well, good stuff. So this is something that obviously people need to know more about. We're hoping to get things set up to the point where we're, as you say, syndicated. Well, we already are syndicated via homenetwork.tv, but we've got channel 5 locked down whenever it is that we go live, and we can actually get someone like Mark Edworthy to have it so that it's running through WPRPN.com, which it was with DLive, simultaneously in real live time, but it's just that kind of went by the wayside. DLive removed that feature. They've been really going downhill in a big way here as of late with some of the decisions that have been made. It's not in a direction you would hope things to be headed, but it worked well for us for a couple of years, where once again, anytime we went live, DLive would pick up the feed and it would just be redirected right through the main homepage, WPRPN.com. So we appreciate the support, Alan. We appreciate the support, I guess, is what we're trying to say here very much. We thank you for you and the effort that you and Robert have made, and look forward to.
Well, I appreciate the content. It's very difficult in order to get level-headed, down the middle content, and you've done a very good job with your show, having done so.
Well, we thank you. We try to, although the thing is, we are uncensored, we are unfiltered, and that I think has led to some problems as far as social media censorship is concerned. There's other platforms and avenues, outlets that have actively worked to suppress our
well, actually, we just have to We just have to avoid any platform that the primary sponsor happens to be Pfizer. It seems to work out that way. If you just find out if it's sponsored by Pfizer, then don't go there.
or Israel.
Yeah, that's it.
That's just
Anyway,
very non.
bringing up strange.
Go ahead.
Bringing up strange and unusual foreign entities
There
such
you
as
go.
Israel.
Yeah.
We're going to bring up this drone thing, but
Sure.
there's something else I need to specify before I even get started. This is not just happening in New Jersey. It's happening in Ohio, California, Texas, Florida, the Florida Panhandle. That's happening over in Europe, in England, in France, and some other countries over there. It's happening in the Philippines with these drones currently, and it is a very big problem. Now, the keys to what is actually happening, though, is a lot better. It's a lot easier to understand because we can eliminate each one of these possibilities that is a false claim. One of the first false claims I'd like to reduce is the fact that these are lawful, legal flights of drones. They are over 500 pounds, and they do not have a transponder. They're the size of an SUV. They are over 500 pounds. Bring question because they are stealth. They have a heat signature. They have to be specially built not to have a heat signature.
Wow.
And in order to do the evasion that has already been reported by the police.
Yeah, we're losing your
personnel.
Alan, your signal is breaking up.
Yeah.
It's pretty choppy. It's breaking up in a big way. Just as soon as you talked about them not just prior to the heat signature business and the transponder, that seemed to have triggered something along the way.
Oh yeah, no, I believe that 100% because when I was I broadcasted all day yesterday and part of Saturday, but I hadn't got the whole story or figured it out yet until Sunday. And this morning I did it 8 hours, a full 8 hours of broadcast on different shows and stuff. So this is well rehearsed to this point, and I've said it enough to, I bet you there's an AI following me around. I believe that. But these things are stealth created. They're absolutely advanced. These are not something that is being innocently flown with a couple of guys flying with goggles. They have anti-collision and they have swarm technology, meaning they know where each one of their drones are, knows where the other drone is, so they don't collide. So they have a certain amount of AI as well. Now, we've seen drone shows where they go up and they show a picture of a turkey. It took 5,000 drones to do that. And they were only 2 foot wide. They're not the size of an SUV. So these are considered heavy lifting drones. And the heavy lifting drones start at a price range of $300,000.
Oh, geez. Well, I'll tell you what.
Okay.
You know, there was
now,
this.
That's just a small one.
there was actually
these are $800,000, $1 million a piece drones that are flying around, 30 a piece.
Well,
I don't think that's an amateur.
Okay, here's the thing: is that, and it just dawned on me. I just realized, hadn't thought of this before, but I did pick up on the news, the alternative underground digital news, of which we are a part of this rather significant community that really stands. It's a fifth estate, is what I refer to it as, fifth estate. Media, basically. So, and they've talked about how there are these super wealthy billionaires who have assembled entire fleets of drones, and they're also working with the AI and the robotics end of things, super soldiers, God only knows what else. It's very sophisticated technology. What they plan on doing with it.
The problem here, and the easiest way in order to narrow this down, is how many manufacturers can actually fill that order.
Well, you tell us.
We've done our research. There's about 6.
Okay.
And 4 of them are under U.S. government contract, but these are not U.S. government. That's the next thing that I would like to get rid
You've
of.
ruled that out
These are not-
entirely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the reason why I know how the chain of command works, because I was part of the military. Okay, it's real simple.
But
If they
compartmentalized
have,
too. You were a tank man. You weren't intelligence per se, were you?
no, but I had Pentagon that would allow me to be depot level repair for computers at the Pentagon. I had a clearance for that.
And that would be what sort of like top secret?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you know there's a
you know why I didn't take that job?
Oh, you didn't
My
take
father,
it.
I didn't take that job. I took the mechanic's job instead.
I would have
But
taken
I
it.
had the same classification as this other job working for the Pentagon. That was my secret clearance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know what number it was, but I do know that if, well, basically what happened was I was at the MEP Center, and they offered me this job. It was a wonderful job, and it was the most cushy, most prestigious job they could ever imagine offering somebody. And I got on the phone. I says, listen, I got to think about that. And I got on the phone that night, and I called my father. And I asked him, because he was in the Army in World War II, this, that, and the other thing. My father asked me one question, and it settled the issue completely. Can I keep my mouth shut if a little green man walked up to me, handed me a hard drive to fix and walk away? The answer was no.
This is the job at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
With the top secret.
So my father.
Your dad was aware. Your
clearance.
Dad had some insight into matters and how they.
My father was part of Operation Aphrodite, where they actually put radio controls into a B-29 and filled them up with TNT and drove them into mountains and blew up the places.
Aphrodite. I'll have to look into that.
Aphrodite. Well, it's where JFK's brother was killed in World War II. He was a pilot.
Oh, right.
Now, here's what's really messed up. My father never really talked about it, but he had a severe injury. And the way that he avoided some of the description of what happened and what he was doing, he was actually the radio operator that was in the chase plane that JFK's brother was killed in.
Chase plane? What does a chase plane do?
A chase plane is the actual radio operator. What they did is they set up a dial pad, and if you think of a dial pad, actually,
so the brother was carrying the plane loaded with explosives, yes?
Right, and because it was radio control and it was overloaded, a person really actually had to take the controls and get it into the air. As soon as it was in the air, it had enough control in order to trim it this way, trim it that way, make it do a general turn this way, but it was not a strong enough amount of control move in order to take off with. So they had to have a pilot in there. So the pilot would get in there, they'd take it off, they'd fly it to maybe 5,000 feet, okay, throw on the autopilot and turn over the control to the radio operator, which is in the chase plane.
And then parachute out.
Exactly. But when he armed the bomb before he parachuted out, the bomb went off right now.
What?
Now, my father was injured. My father was injured from a piece of shrapnel while he was flying, and that's all I know. I strongly suggest that he was in the chase plane.
But he never confirmed that.
He never really talked about it. A lot of it I had to put together.
This is incredible, man. This is like, small world.
Well, the thing of it is, that's you asked me earlier, am I one of these people that have this tremendous IQ or nothing? No, I'm a C&D student. Okay. But my father was a high-ranking Mason, and my mother was a member of the Morning Star. And the reason why my father was such a high-ranking Mason is because he was part of that compartmental project way back in World War II. If you weren't a Mason, you weren't going to look at that. I mean, that was the same thing as UFO technology back then.
So you needed to be a Mason to get in.
Yeah, you had to be a Mason in order to become a tech for that. My father was chosen out of all the services. He was working with people from the Navy and from the Marines, okay, on radar units. and he was sucked in. He was part of a 9-man team that was sent over to Europe in order to set up the original glide scopes, and he actually, helped build the towers. He zeroed the equipment for fly-by-wire in order to land, for your landing fly-by-wire. It would guide you all the way down to 10 feet on the ground.
Oh, this is intriguing.
Okay.
A lot of technical lingo here, but which is very intriguing, fascinating story. Of course, that has definitely captured my attention. So, but let me just
the two beams crossed and they dropped their bombs. He set up the transmitters to do that, and the antenna that was such a tight beam.
For where exactly?
In Germany, when they were bombing Germany.
Oh, that's
what they did is they took two different radar, and when it was a blackout condition, they didn't know where they were. So during the night, what they would do is they set up two transmitters, and it would be a narrow beam transmission. So it'd be very narrow. You wouldn't be able to hear it from the east of it. You wouldn't be able to hear from the west of it. And if you weren't dead south of it, you wouldn't hear it at all. Okay? So they would have these two radio beams that would cross like lasers. And when the bomber was able to detect both radio beams, that's where they dropped the bombs. And that's how they did it at night. That's how the nighttime bombing was done.
Intriguing.
And my father set up those transmitters. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get that's fascinating. We'll revisit this at the opportune time. Right now, we like to give a shout out though to Karma Love, who's out there in the wider listening audience. We see her along with a whole number of lurkers that we encourage to sign in. Of course, a lot of people never do, unfortunately, just lurking around. And Roger, of course, signed into YouTube along with DB. I think, yeah, that's our friend DK out of New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. So great to reconnect with him. It's been a while. We did actually share the show information in his Telegram group. So if you'd like to send us your link, DK will happily promote that, give you a plug. That's what this is all about, of course. So in the meantime, Operation Aphrodite was a World War II military operation that used controlled bombers to attack enemy targets. I got to get on YouTube and check this out. There'll be a documentary covering this, you can bet. The operation's goal, and JFK, JFK, the death of his brother, some, pretty...
There's several documentaries on it, and It's always presented it as big as a mystery as UFOs. There's very few people, of the participants. There's only like three or four photos that they have of the ground crew and stuff like that, and my father is in one of those pictures. I've seen the picture.
Well, send it our way if you could, and we'll add it to the slides.
I will have to find it again. I mean, it's been out there, but I've only seen that particular photograph a couple of times.
Well,
I'll be honest.
Let's get on DuckDuckGo before they scrub it off the interwebs, and it's relegated to the memory hole. So we're all about archiving here and putting together digital libraries, promoting places like archive.org. Open sourced information, file sharing. We are digital pirates after all, so you can bet it's unfortunate. You look at the political pirate parties around the world, and they're pretty pussified, from what we hear.
Well, wouldn't the printing press in 1776 during the British invasion be considered a pirate newspaper?
Which one?
Printing press in 1976 during the British excavation in America when we had when we declared independence. Don't you think that the printing press there was actually pirate as well?
Yeah, of course. It's like, it was a threat. Okay. It was a threat to the hegemony, with the powers that be and the dominant narrative. If you're going to put something out there, that's why outfits, voices, platforms, shows such as ours are actively targeted by, if you want to say, AI algorithms, or more just maliciously.
We're not under governmental control. That's what it amounts to. Anytime you have an origami and they try to take over the press.
Look at the drones
And,
now. Even Chucky
yeah.
Schumer apparently coming out. Someone made a great point. It's like, yeah, problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic within that context. You know, and then what does, you know, Chucky Schumer? Oh, we have the solution here. We need more legislation. Yeah, we need more laws to protect people, because that always works, doesn't it? That always does work.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
but let me go ahead and knock this out of the park, because
Okay.
there's so many rumors going around. There's even the fact that something from 1950 to 1960 something, there was one of these suitcase nuclear bombs that was missing. We have, you know, broken arrows more recent than that. 8 years ago out in North Dakota, they got 3 nuclear bombs using Obama's signature and just barely got off the base before they realized the fact that they shouldn't have taken them at all, even though the signature was legit. He never had the authority to order their movement. Well, as soon as they discovered that, they actually shut down the whole state for about 6 hours. Nobody can move.
You're talking.
Everyone's
You mentioned broke. Hang on a second. Hang on. You mentioned broke, because a lot of people, including myself, maybe, you know, a little bit more in the way of details. Broken Arrow. That goes back a few years, does it not? And then you brought something about.
Actually, there's a movie. There's a movie called that, and it's about a nuclear bomb that is no longer in the possession of the rightful owner.
Didn't Dan Aykroyd have a hand in that, or am I getting, you know, the Blues Brothers?
No, I think Saturday Night Live would be closer to that. Okay, well, or Saturday Night. What was it?
The Blues Brothers.
Oh heck, no, it'd be. Oh heck, I can't remember.
But what? Okay, but Alan.
Either.
Okay, but here's the thing, my friend. We have to look. Let's get you back for a feature show, okay? In the new year here. Let's get you back. We'll pencil you in. If Sonia's out there listening, she can take care of things. We'll get a calendar in place. She's come on board recently, not only as our merchandise director, but also a co-producer. So this is exactly the sort of, this is the sort of logistical support that we need from people. You're helping to cover the tech end of things with syndication and simulcasting, of course, which is just, you know, that's great stuff. Of course, we have a little bit of a tech crew here working in the background, which with a little, you know, not something in the way of steering me along and providing me with a few basic ideas, like where to go and how to deal with things. Got the Linux machine back up and running. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, we got to get all of our ducks in a row. You know, so much work to do in a whole number of different areas, but it really does help when, you know, more hands make for light work, right? So,
well, we need to get the ducks in the row, or either that, or we're going to have to set the oven for 375.
Yeah, or both. Once you get
one way or the other, it's going to happen.
Get the ducks in a row. Get the ducks in a row and the oven ready. So why not both? But let me just chime in here and remind folks, this is, of course, the third installment of this year's, for those of you out there who are scratching their heads wondering what the heck is actually going on here, Operation Secret Santa 2024. Myself, your host as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. We've got Alan, who works to oversee the Home Network.tv project, of which we've been recently brought on board, now working as an affiliate of sorts. Also, Roger Hanson, who is, you know, doing a lot of great stuff, of course, and supporting our endeavors here. And you know, it all comes back to you as well, too, all of you, of course, including the listeners. The good news that we have to share with you in many ways, you know, even though it would seem as if, well, I mean, Christmas in particular, there's a lot of good news regarding this whole period of the year, what it has to offer. So we'd like to focus on that a little more now, and just reminding Alan that, yeah, we can have you back in the new year without any difficulty whatsoever. More than happy to. And then so blessed to hear that you're still with us here. We lost a good friend, Pirate Larry, just a little more than a year ago now, I guess. But he did have his, we don't want to spend too much time on this. Just a shout out and a tip of the pirate hat to Pirate Larry, who, as a matter of fact, with the Piratas de Dios project, the Pirates of God project, kind of like what we mentioned earlier, the Blues Brothers, we're on a mission from God. It's true, folks. It really is true. We are on a mission from God. And Larry and his my Spanish. Can either of you guys do the Spanish a little better than me? Piratas de Dios. People get the idea. The pirates of God, and his thinking there was that in former lives we ourselves have been pretty bad dudes. We got generate a lot of bad karma, killing people, raping, pillaging, stealing, all the things you're not supposed to do, of course. And this go around, the pledge that we've made, the promise is that we're going to work to redeem ourselves and be a part of projects such as this, Operation Secret Santa, where we reach out to others. And maybe some of you are familiar with the Bible story of the widow's mite, which I was just mentioning earlier with the elf gig and the adult class, and just that she only had a little to offer. I think it may have been monetary or something or another, but someone may only have a little in the way of clothes or food, or maybe a little bit of time that they can pledge and help to in support of someone who lives in their community who could stand to benefit from a bit of a hand up. That's what this is all about: reaching out, connecting, finding the people that do need help, who would otherwise be in a real funk. Because I think most of us recognize and can appreciate, we've all heard the stories of how Christmas is often seen to be the period where people are the most depressed, and to the point of even being driven to suicide, depending on the state that they find themselves in. Trust me, I know what it's like, not with suicide so much, thank God, but depression, yeah, and homelessness, yeah. You can check that box off too. That was a very brief period, thank God, just a couple of days, but it was enough. It was enough for me to really find myself humbled in more ways than one. So, and now I can relate. I've always, as a former street busker, actually I do it here in Korea too, once in a while, but more actively in the West. Busking, street busking, performing, playing guitar, singing the old harmonica thing. Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Springsteen, whatever. Anything goes. Woody Guthrie. Uh, you meet a lot of people from all various walks of life, all places, all levels and layers of society, and it's really, if you're a people watcher, it's a really interesting kind of post to hold down. But you're speaking of being in the military, Alan. I've now, served, what is it, 22 tours of duty here via South Korea.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when I was in the military, the one thing that we didn't want to get to is South Korea. That's where we regularly exchange little buzzing things that go through the air that's actually made out of lead, and there was never any report of it. I heard quite a bit about South Korea and the border there back in the 80s, though. It wasn't current. I don't know what the status is there currently. But, yeah, if you wanted a destination that you could actually have some exciting target practice, South Korea was actually on the top of the list back when I joined.
What years are we looking at there?
1986, 1987.
Yep. Yeah. Well, martial law was, in fact, in place during most of the 80s, from what I understand. And Chun Doo-han, who recently died, former dictator in chief, and there was a lot of people who died as a result of what he brought put in place, the martial law that we recently, in fact, nearly found ourselves revisiting here just a couple of weeks ago with this lunatic loose cannon President Yoon, who, as it turns out, was influenced and driven by his, I guess, defense minister, who promptly resigned and then supposedly attempted to hang himself with his underwear. So the story goes. I'm not sure if it's a
Really?
good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's.
It was either a really good time or a really bad attempt at isometrics.
Yeah, well, they say that's a pretty interesting way to go, and I'm not sure if that was his plan. He was that narcissistic. If he was, trying to achieve some major, sexual peak or what exactly in the course of taking
Well,
himself out.
That's better than Kevin Nordeen's death.
What happened there?
Well, he was into asphyxiation, and he had like 3 or 4 women that he had died around, and they were passing the buck on which one may have hung them.
Who's this?
David,
I never heard of this
Carradine.
guy. Oh, David. Oh,
David
Carradine. Yeah.
The guy from Kung Fu.
What was the issue with women?
Well, he was addicted to sex, and he was also addicted to asphyxiation.
Self-asphyxiation.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he hung himself during the act.
But this is in Thailand, I think, was it not? Or
I think it was. Yeah.
It wasn't Cambodia? I think it was Thailand. So, but were there a couple of women around him who died under mysterious circumstances? You were saying, or there's a couple of women who reported?
No, he died.
Yeah.
He died.
Sure.
Yeah, and there was like 3 prostitutes that assisted him in the assisted suicide, or was it? Well, what would that be? Assisted orgasm?
What, didn't he
I don't
hang
know.
himself in the closet?
But,
yeah. Well, who knows, man? Like maybe Alan's got some.
No, he was he hung himself, but he had assistance. It was a sexual act with some prostitutes.
Yeah, was it a mistake, or were they there to?
It wasn't a deliberate act. No, he was supposed to revive.
It was. They were not there to off him. It was a mistake.
Right.
And then they disappeared.
It was something that he did in regular practice.
Yeah, sure.
He did that as a regular practice.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then he disappeared. Or the women then disappeared. We've never heard anything about these women since that, or even at the time. There was really not much mention. They covered that up, basically. They covered it up.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, I mean, it's a heck of a thing to find a kung fu actor.
Yeah. Well, hashtag Hollyweird, and the Carradine family too. Like they've got there's quite a sordid history from what I understand. With their Hollywood.
One of the first ones that he was famous in was like Race 2000 or something, Blood Race 2000. That was actually a good movie.
Oh, he was a I don't know, he was a decent actor. He had his own persona and charisma, and what you do in your personal time, man. I mean, at least it wasn't children or nothing like that. That would have been too much. Rolf Harris, I guess, is a good example of someone who completely destroyed his legacy and career with having to go through court and even like Bill Cosby, for crying out loud. So, but we're not here to talk about those people or their sexual proclivities, but rather focus on Christmas. We have
it's a heck of a thing when people find out they're mammals, though. It just it ruins everything else, it seems like.
Well, yeah, we've got to acknowledge the fact we are, as Aristotle famously said, we are political animals. I would add to that, I don't know why he didn't add to that number, secondly, sexual animals as well.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what Freud partly got into it, the whole libido.
Would you like me to close the door on this drone thing?
Yes. Yeah. And then we can move on. Sure. Okay. That's right.
Well, at any rate, we can get rid of the legal flying of drones because they're shutting down the airports around them. If they were legal flights, they would sit there and tell the airport that they were doing a scan across the airport. One of the cover stories is an atomic bomb that's loose, okay, and that these drones are American and they are bomb sniffers.
Oh my God.
Why?
Oh wow.
Okay, that's a cover story, and it's in order to confuse things.
Right.
And we can get rid of that by real simple. In order to approach one of these drones that are supposed to be a bomb sniffer, you have to approach them in a hazmat suit. Now, currently in the local areas there, they're saying if they have any of these drones come down, to notify the authorities, and the authorities have to call the bomb squad. The bomb squad has to wear hazmat. And then when they get out there and they find it, the bomb squad calls up FEMA or another agency in order to determine what to do with it. That way, there's a limited amount of people exposed to it, protecting whatever they're hiding here. Okay? Now, so that's the chain of command. That's how the chain of command works. If I'm going to sit there and let's say I'm using a bomb sniffing drone and I'm going to go over the military base, I'm going to sit there and call up the commander and say, you're going to see something weird to happen that never happened. Do you understand me? There's no such thing as UFOs. And then hang up the phone on him and challenge him to say one word about a drone flying over his thing, because I told him I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock. Don't report anything. I don't want to hear about it. And he does that. That's what they do. That's when they have a UFO downed or something like that, it disappears and nobody knows nothing, right? And they limit the amount of people that can sit there and actually have access to it. Simple as that. Same technique that they're using. So it is definitely not a legal flight. It is definitely not one of our own. Because if it was one of our own, it would travel through the chain of command and it wouldn't be reported. So we can get rid of the fact that it's one of our own. Then we can sit there and look at it, the fact that they are the size of an SUV, meaning that they're over 500 pounds. 500 pounds requires a transponder in the U.S. Anything over 500 pounds is part of the ultralights. That's where they actually begin, because 500-pound aircraft can carry a person, whether there's a seat on it or not. That's why it requires a transponder. Okay.
Well,
so these things are flying without a transponder,
sure,
meaning that they are illegal. They are not ours. They have a storage capacity and lifting capacity. What are they lifting?
No heat signature. And you're saying there's
they
no.
Are actually spraying chemicals out of these.
You're kidding.
That's the big thing. No, I've got it on video. There were 3 or 4 videos that showed up. 2 of them actually disappeared that I could find. As soon as I found them, they all 2 of them disappeared, and I still have 1 left.
You better, folks. Show. Yeah, people. When these news items appear, videos, interviews, commentary, you need to rip them right away and save a copy, because things are subject to change, and that's really important.
It gets worse, folks. It gets worse, because I can eliminate the other possibilities, that these are recreational vehicles and a bunch of guys sitting at Denny's are having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Line of sight to their vehicle.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
No.
These are $300,000 vehicles.
Yeah.
You do not have, coffee breaks and drone races with these things.
Yeah.
They're
Very
working
sophisticated,
animals.
coordinated, highly sophisticated.
So where we can get rid of the amateur angle. Now, think about this. The world's largest container carrier can carry 25,000 containers at one time. That's 25,000 of these giant shipping containes.
And they've seen them. They've seen them emerging from out of the water. Apparently, it's like submersibles.
I think that's not happening.
It is possible, though. There is technology that does that. There is technology,
but not for the impact. As soon as you're in the water, you can sustain speed. As soon as you're out of the water, you can sustain speed. But we do not have the technology to enter the water.
So we got it. Okay, so as intriguing and timely and newsworthy as all this is, we've got to shift gears, focus on Christmas. How then would you like to cap things off here? Who then do you suspect is behind this, and for what reason?
Well, according to some reports, Iran is supposed to have left, or there was a ship that was supposed to have Iran and arrived in this area. In the timeline that this happened, that the ship left
And
Iran,
then the government is
and came
telling
over
people
here.
they can't shoot them down? Come on.
Well, it's real simple. If they're carrying chemical weapons, you wouldn't want them shot down, would you?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, or biological
nuclear.
weapons.
Or nuclear.
Yeah,
God
I
only
mean,
knows.
exactly. I mean, it could be a dirty bomb in there.
Jesus.
So these are not ours. This is known. They are spraying. Military bases are being shut down. Airports are being shut down. They're not legal flights, and our officials are paid insurgents by our enemies and financed, through their campaign donations and stuff like that to get them elected. And guess what? They're coming out and saying, "Oh no, the entire state of New Jersey accidentally was fed, some mushrooms, and they're all hallucinating. And they're all just regular aircraft." And it's not.
Speaking of shutdown, I wonder where this now could potentially lead to and ultimately leave the upcoming scheduled Trump inauguration.
Well, that's the third possibility, but let me tell you about the second possibility. What started all of these sites of these drones was an event that happened in Manchester Airport. There was a drone, not a drone, an actual orb, something that we've seen before. And if you've ever covered stuff or anything like that, there is Attacks on the Moon. Attacked on the Moon. And that's the title of it. And at the end of that, it shows a orb going across the moon's surface and passing in front of a pillar and going behind another pillar. And there's another shot of it that shows that it kind of has a door on the front of it that you could actually open, close, and seal, and then fly that. And that would be your windshield in order to look out of. And we've seen this particular orb before, and that's where we've seen it at, is on the moon. And all of a sudden, it's showing up at this airport and shutting down traffic as soon as they realize it's there. Now, this was not only spotted by professional pilots, but it was also photographed. And this is the actual beginning of these drone sightings. Now, if you had a bunch of these orbs coming out of the sky and landing and trying to do something, and it was a global event, you would sit there and try to hide it. The only way you're going to try to hide it is to make sure that you have one, ugly duckling in the flock, right? Well, where's the flock? Well, we'll go ahead and launch every drone that we could possibly launch and cause a big drone sighting rather than a UFO sighting in these key locations. That makes sense. But again, that's the other possibility. So if you want to believe in UFOs, that's a possibility for you. Okay, because we cannot rule that out.
Keep in mind, Alan. Yeah, well, yes, but also Werner von Braun and his warning that many are aware of, that one of the last ditch strategies that would be played by the power elite is the staging of a fake alien invasion. So before you comment, before you respond to that,
let me finish that part.
But before you do, hang on,
because this touches on that.
Hang on a second. Before you do, shout out to Stephanie Wilcox out of New York State. She is one of the people, her and her family, that we mentioned earlier. We are sponsoring in support of the campaign, a pledge of $50. If there's anyone who can meet or beat that amount after, looking into the particulars of what her family, what makes them tick, essentially, and what they're all about, where they currently find themselves situated as far as their, living expenses. And New York State, if there's any people out there in New York State who have groceries, clothing, medical supplies, anything that toiletries, I guess, that would come in handy around the house. We encourage people to think outside the box and to get involved and engaged on some level. So, with respect to Stephanie Wilcox and her family, Yvonne Malfon, and there are a couple of others of similar situations. We've got to. There's another grandmother, I believe, out of New York with 6 grandkids that are kind of living on the fringes of society is one way of putting things. They're struggling to make ends meet is another. But North Carolina, we have a former military vet herself. We're going to use their first names here. Probably in the next show we get a little better organized and including their permission to do so. But it is kind of tough now that we've been suspended from Facebook, or as I can't help but so often refer to them, hashtag fakebook. So that is a bit of a problem, but I guess we'll leave it at that as far as a shout out to Stephanie. Is there anything more, Roger, you think we could add before we get back to Alan and let him, cap off the drone analysis and send him on his way, of course, because he's well overshot the mark here as far as his sleep.
The drone
schedule.
thing that I've been hearing, I've heard the thing about the whole Iran drone story, and after that senator or congressman, whatever, said that, did you hear anything else afterwards? I think that's the only time I've ever heard him or anybody come out.
I've heard it floated. By who exactly, with what context, I'm not sure. It is making the rounds, one possible theory. But if, as Alan says, they are weaponized, that would of course.
If you go into the shows that are
like politicians,
go into the shows
officials
trying to distract from everything. The people that are sitting there, there's nothing to be concerned about. Oh, it's causing an alarm. Don't be alarmed. We have gargoyle systems, I think the name of the guy was, come out to tell us that there's nothing to be alarmed about because these drones are not like the drones over in the UK, like in a war zone. You mean like dropping spray or, having nuclear possibility here. And he literally come out and says, these are the things we don't have to worry about. But what we do have to worry about is things like our water supply and our electrical infrastructure. It's almost like he was sitting there assigning targets for these people. Okay.
And wasn't it also a military area right there in New Jersey that they were supposed to be around?
There's more than one. There's more than one, and the COs are calling up, saying, "Hey, I've got a drone over the base. What do I do? Don't shoot it down."
Yeah. See.
Okay. And because these things are load bearing. These things are load bearing. They have little dirty surprises in them.
See,
that's the reason why you got to approach it. That's why you have to approach it with the hazmat, and that's the reason why I can tell you they are not friendly. They're from a foreign country.
You hear that, Jeffy? That's what you got to do. You got to get them fired up with the good questions. He got fired up right there.
Yeah, we're not talking. It's great, fired up, but we're not. But over on your show, Roger, because right now this is great quality content, but it's not all that Christmassy, unfortunately. So we do go for the mix.
Unfortunately, that may be our Christmas is our Christmas at war.
Yeah, wow.
This is, the same thing as 1942. What happened to first Christmas at war? Well, and unfortunately, I think that's what we're looking at.
Asymmetrical fifth generational warfare. But one of my concerns is also, let's not rule out the possibility this could be. Remember, I mentioned these super powerful Dr. Evil type billionaires that there were no.
You mean like China with the 2004 speech that now are we on YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay, I can't mention this.
Yeah. Well, you can speak in quarter language.
That's what I'm going to do it. There's a China speech. You have to go to DuckDuckGo to find it. Look up 2004 China general speech and bioweapon. Now, obviously, I can't explain that here either. However, everything that has happened, is basically problem solving for what he was saying that China should do, including the business of threatening, I believe it's Taiwan, and they're threatening to invade Taiwan, which is a feint because they're actually attacking the U.S. and they need to figure out some way of getting rid of enough people in the U.S. to be able to easily take it over. Well, I got news for you. They just sat there and sprayed most of New Jersey as a test.
They've already purchased.
Not,
look at the real estate that they bought up around most of America's military bases.
That should be unlawful. That should be unlawful. Another country should not be able to own land in America.
Well,
you have to be a resident. That should be the truth.
Beijing Biden, Joe Biden, they're very China friendly. CCP China communism, no problem. You keep money rolling, we got Chinese hall for your son. Got big time Chinese hall coming
it is possible in order to stop
Chinese
them.
cocaine,
You have to
all kinds of
understand,
drugs.
the Bundy Ranch was all about China buying up land and using it. China was trying to put a energy plant there for a solar farm.
Well, and you know what you know about the Nevada connection and angle. The senator who was the long time, he's retired now, I think. Senator, him and his son, very corrupt, however. And
exactly. You know it.
Well, thanks to people like George Knapp. Actually is a little too chummy with this guy, I find, and he's not critical enough, which to me it's really unfortunate, because I really do think a lot about, positive things about George, but there are too many gatekeepers in the media where they hold back, and they're compromised, and they find themselves in situations where it's conflict of interest, and maybe it's they're out of fear for their safety and their well-being, that they have to, that they're not straightforward enough and real, like as in classic journalism media, muckrakers, as it was done.
We haven't had journalist reporters for years,
right.
Not since Walter Cronkite. Wow. The only thing that we have is actors that can read and respond in the way that's expected out of them.
Speaking of which, Walter Cronkite, reading and what have you, but any idea you want the voice of the Moloch, the owl, giant owl statue at Bohemian Grove? Do you know who that is?
You're kidding me. Is that Walter Cronkite?
It's good old Uncle Walt. Yeah, Walty.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But
I mean,
hero.
we actually haven't had any journalists since then.
There were a few back in the day.
Didn't you get in trouble for bullet holes that were fake on the side of an airplane or something during Desert Storm?
Walter Cronkite?
Yeah, it had something to do where they were staging it to where it looked like they were in the desert for one thing, and then all of a sudden, like somebody was supposed to have fired at him at when he was getting onto an airplane.
Old Uncle Walty? He would have been like 80 by that time.
I know the report he's talking about. It was a fake green screen report, which is far past Walter Cronkite's time.
Was it? Who was that
being
guy?
In Saudi Arabia, and they faked a gas attack.
We're under fire, undertaking fire.
And and they tried to put on their gas masks. They were completely inept at putting their gas mask on, and it was a joke. They had a plastic palm tree behind them.
Yeah.
Okay. It was so obvious that it was fake. I mean, it was actually worse than the 9/11 footage.
And see, that's what I'm getting into when it comes to these drones. To me personally, I think that like our government would take that more seriously, and they would have been shot down.
That's the problem. If they have chemical or biological weapons on them, you're not going to want to shoot them down. You're going to have to find a
I also have my theory that it's a distraction from something that's more important that's going on right now. Like everybody keep an eye on the drones so that you don't pay attention to what's really taking place.
That's always a possibility too. So in the meantime, let's put the brakes on that for now. And one final shout out to Stephanie, who is adding here right at the tail end of this live stream show segment number 3 of this year's Operation Secret Santa. 2024. She's actually struggling with some COVID at the present. We can say that without getting kicked off a boob tube, I guess, can't we? Oh, yes, we can talk about how people are struggling and suffering from, but we can't actually talk about
what they're suffering from.
where it's come from, how to resolve the situation. We've all basically it's the technocratic, not just military, but medical fascist, dictatorship that via the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum that we must all bow down to in reverence and submission, or else you will find your fake book account suspended, kicked off a Discord, two accounts shut down, 2 of your ex accounts suspended. Twitch is gone. All we've got left, folks, really is an email address
Well, we have Home Network.
Well, we got that, and we have minds.com for now, knock wood. So not a hell of a lot else, though, unfortunately, because we're taking a lot of fire here, folks. So it really is up to you, our listeners, to get the word out, let people know about our show, share the links, and explain to the world, as an example of what we're having to endure here. Go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, sure you got more. I mean, haven't you heard you're on Rumble? You're on freaking.
Yeah, but that's only because you syndicate.
You're back on X. You're back on X.
You're syndicating us.
Hey, and guess what else? There's something cool that's going on too. You're also freaking being streamed on Kick. You are now an official part of the Kick program.
Well, I've heard of it. And that's through you, is it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
I did it in protest, but I mean,
how's it protest?
I kind of see it like doing TikTok. Little girls do TikTok.
So Kick is what, some alternative, not so edgy, live streaming platform, mostly for people in their cat videos.
Not cat videos. It's like the chicks that like to show their boobs when they get kicked off of Twitch. They go to Kick.
Oh God.
So
yeah. So yeah, if only. Well, I mean, if we could maybe generate more revenue and support via dick pics, I'd be all in, I guess. Excuse the pun,
I
you might be all in, but I'm short.
Yeah. So, but
DK is in the chat, so maybe we can ask him to do a favor.
Yeah, we've only got 3 here with us right now, and we're gonna bring DK in tomorrow. Actually, I
wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the topic that you were in.
He's on YouTube, definitely. We see DK sharing comments and thoughts through YouTube, much appreciated. So he's I'm sure, as always, he does have a lot to offer, but we've already heard, I think, plenty via Alan.
I was talking about dick pics, dude.
DK. So DK, he's got quite a reputation for this, does he?
If he wants to, he can.
Oh my God! That's why how he's able to pay the rent. I get it. Well, God bless him. Then can't really blame the guy. It's just like the women; they gotta survive somehow. So you can't really judge, too much.
It's really good to see him in the chat, though. I was really glad. He hasn't been on here very long. It's weird he shows up on Christmas.
Oh, he was here last Christmas. It's
it's
a great time of the year. We have a lot of people, lurkers, and people coming to us via just out of the woodwork. And let's not forget, he does have his channel in place.
Yeah,
did you share the link?
Yeah, I shared it on your chat so that he asked me if to try to get it on the chat here in Skype.
But what if? But what if is what it's called. It's kind of tricky to get it from here, this machine, over to the other, especially now that they've taken the fake book is out of the equation. We could have done it that way, but anyways, it's but what if, and just people stick around long enough, and they'll easily be able to find it. So feel free, DK, share it in the YouTube area. So we through Restream we're able to uh, re re link. I guess the feed is we're able to reshare through DLive and YouTube only. Unfortunately, that's it. DLive and YouTube only. Now, what's really funny too, in a kind of sad way, like we paid our money. Hey, it's great to see we've actually got.
You can't share through Rumble? What's wrong with that?
Well, we're working on actually getting the stream in place via Rumble. It's just from a technical standpoint, we don't quite have it down yet. I mean, it's one of the things we could do tonight. Well, we have a little bit of downtime. I could take another shot at things, but usually I'm the one who ends up doing everything. It's just we have folks like Roger, yourself, others that provide just a little bit in the way of guidance and kind of nudging, Jaffe in this direction, that.
Well, I will admit, Rumble is a pain in the neck, and
Right.
every time you join or every time you go live, you have to request a live stream.
Oh,
and every time it changes, every single time you go live, it changes the RNTP and the key code.
There's the problem.
I run 24 hours a day. I run 24 hours a day. I may have to replace that key code maybe 3 times a week because I lose connection or something.
Okay,
don't worry about Rumble. I'll do my stream for you on there. I do that stuff every day. It's a routine now.
Why do they have it set up that way?
It's not a static stream.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Static streams are where you can get a permanent key and URL.
Oh, well, I see. So you'd have to take the Rumble as it changes each time, and then how would you put it through Restream though? That would be kind of tricky, wouldn't it? Because I mean, then you're overriding.
Yeah, you have to reprogram Restream every time. It's very annoying.
Oh, forget it then. They should be smarter than that.
If we're going to talk about Rumble, though, let me do a little bit of selfless promotion. Please check out Chill Zone Pro, which has relaxing music and a book, an audio book. Has some eye candy in order to be able to lull you to sleep as well. And then we also have Beyond Undisclosed on Rumble, where our morning shows would be included. And I understand that you are a guest quite often with Robert Morningstar. Is that correct?
The Morningstar Report every week, pretty much, at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Right now, we're in the winter season, fall and winter. So with the time change, that's the way things are working out. I'm able to actually join them for the full 2 hours on Monday.
Well, Robert Morningstar's show is on Beyond Undisclosed and Chill Zone in 2 different categories.
Oh, wow.
One is the viral, and the other is the news category.
That's great.
So you'll be able to find us easy. And he comes on 8 o'clock Monday through Friday on Rumble with our channel and our network for that. We also have Stagecraft Productions on YouTube, but that's generally a place for raw videos, ideas that are just kind of coughed up, and when you're particularly stoned and you don't know what else to do, kind of a channel.
Let's not forget, as you put it earlier as well, a little bit of eye candy. Got to have the eye candy.
Well, then, of course, yeah, we do have the eye candy in there. It's a little bit unique. If you go there, it's like 5 or 6 different shorts playing all at the same time, continuously in an hour loop.
Eye candy.
No, just Rev just sent a message and said that he is hosting you. So
Prancer, Dancer, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. What the hell? Why I got the headphone? Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. Give me some help here, guys. And who's syndicating?
That would be Just Rev off of DLive. He said he is now hosting WPRPN.
I wonder if that's Reverend Jim.
Probably.
Do you guys know Reverend Jim?
I've seen him on here.
Oh, he's great. We brought him on the DLive. He took off like you wouldn't believe. He's a former Navy guy, and he's like a big son of booster of working in support of promoting exposure to what happened regarding the USS Liberty back in, I guess it was
He
June
said
of
that's him.
1967. June of 67, Israel
He says,
attacking the USS Liberty. And everyone's supposed to forget about that now because Lyndon Baines Johnson was such a wonderful president, So, but, and just mech, too. Just mech. Let's not forget about, yeah, see, there we go. It might be Reverend Jim, actually. So it's a new
yeah, he
handle.
said it. Yeah, it's him. He said it was him just
Gotcha.
now.
Yeah, and his daughter is a big. I shouldn't refer to as a fan of the show. I caught hell from one lady back in the day who kind of is really lashed out at me. It's like, how dare you? So, okay, she's not a fan. She's a supporter. Just she likes what we do basically, and that's about as far as it goes, I guess. Right. So really appreciate her support though too, Jessica. Wonderful, good stuff, along with her dad. Jim, of course, Reverend Jim. And yeah, I mean, he just took off like you wouldn't believe. In fact, Alan, he would be someone, if you're looking for content and live streamers, people to connect with and promote, that's your guy right there, Reverend Jim. If we could get you in touch, and I think it'd be like a win-win kind of deal, really. Some really, because it's all about synergy, obviously, right? Digital,
Right.
cyber synergy. So that's what we're doing here, folks. Some major, online, internet magic, really, that the powers that be, whether through their drone psyops or censorship, bills that are being passed to crack down on freedom of speech or what have you, would rather not that we not be here because we are unfiltered, we are uncensored. It's people talking like they normally do, as adults, relatively sane, rational minded. I think we're pretty skeptical. I've heard everyone here, and you guys are.
I wouldn't say
skeptical.
sane. I mean,
All
come
right,
on,
well,
dude.
I mean, crazy like a fox, I guess. And how about
There
that?
you go. That's better. That's
Okay.
better. Yeah.
So
Keep it real. Keep
yeah,
it real.
that's right. So, but look, hey, we're gonna wrap things up here, and return tomorrow, same time, as what we.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, send us those links as well too via email, and we'll be happy to to copy them, take note of them and add them to our list of people with that are central to the network WPRPN. Even have you we got to get you on our affiliate page too, obviously. That's a no-brainer. So we'll talk again soon, Alan. You get your well-deserved sleep, rest, and keep us informed on the drone situation. And finally, of course, as always, Merry Christmas. So happy sailing.
You bet. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you too. And I'll go ahead and check out. And you guys have a good one. May God be with you, folks, or may He be with somebody.
Yeah, indeed. May your God or gods be with you, as the late great Alan Watts of Cutting Through the Matrix so often like to put it. He's sorely missed.
I love that saying, and when you said Alan, my heart almost dropped because you ended it with Watts. I know the saying from Alan that was on the BBC. He was a comedian, and he'd come out and sit in a chair, and he'd end every show, good night, and may your God be with you, which is the most respectful thing I think I've ever heard anybody ever say. Respecting someone else's, territory or whatever.
I'm sorry, he said, may your God or gods go with you?
No, may your God be with you.
Oh, I see. May whatever God it is that you, right, that you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. That's a pretty liberal-minded.
I normally end my show that way, too.
Sure. Works for us. You betcha.
Dave Allen.
Dave right.
Allen at Love.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We're big fans of British comedy as well, entertainment and so forth. Just great stuff, epic material that's been produced via the UK throughout the years. So,
Oh, the plagiarism, the plagiarism.
oh, you
The
want to talk?
honor I
Yeah.
have.
Well, you want to talk plagiarism? Look no further than Korea, of course. They love to pretty much, to copy and replicate anything that's hot and trendy. So we'll leave that aside,
Oh.
though, maybe for the next upcoming edition of Late Night in Korea. And you get your rest there. You've just been recovering from a major operation, and work on building your strength back up. It sounds like you've been doing a hell of a job. That smoking, my friend, though, the first thing I saw when you initially came on the screen a number of months ago was the cigarettes, and in my mind, I just immediately thought oh Jesus, this guy is smoking. That's a problem, right? I sensed it immediately, and then boom, he's in the hospital. So stay out of there, man. Take better care of yourself.
I'll do the best I can.
All right, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me, and you have a great night.
Happy sailing.
Okay.
Take it easy, Jackie.
So, well, Roger, you're still here, hopefully. But, no, I guess he's not. So, we mistakenly, the call ended, but that's fine. Thanks once again to everyone who was a part of things. It was kind of, short and sweet as compared to last night. We kicked things off 11:30 here in the evening, and I should have mentioned that, well, the two guys were on board because it may be a little more convenient to them. It's an early morning affair, anywhere between 6:30 and 9:30 in the morning as far as the Americas are concerned. It's an afternoon affair via Europe, and a late night, early morning deal if folks such as ourselves here in Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, as far as we're circumcised. So definitely keep that in mind. But we're going to be back here in a little under 24 hours, 22 to be precise. Get out there, be active, find out what's happening in your communities. This is a Christmas campaign, a call out to all of our listeners, and a challenge to meet or beat the work, the pledges that we've been putting forward in support of people and their various causes, the folks that we've been selectively sponsoring. Find somebody else with that's lives close to you that you're going to help out in some way, even just like shoveling their driveway or carrying their groceries. It's the Christmas season once again, and you'd be amazed as we can become angels in human form from time to time, and just the help that we extend to others, complete strangers in many cases. The pirate's might, as it's known, and that's not well, how do you spell that anyways? MIGHT? That's how it used to be with the Piratas de Dios, the pirate's might, bombing, killing, laying waste, to completely destroying, ravaging, raping, plundering. That was, historically the pirate's might, MIGHT. We're talking here, the pirates, MITE. The little bit that we have to offer. We're poor, impoverished pirates now. But with what little we do have, we're happy to make an example. Just this one time of the year, really, is what it boils down to. So, and this is unlike UNICEF, of course, the Salvation Army. This came up in class today. The Red Cross, so on and so forth. The Bush Clinton initiative, hurricane relief. What outreach? Oh dear God, what a fraud! I mean, even look at the disaster. What the hell is FEMA doing in North Carolina right now? We have someone in North Carolina we could potentially be sponsoring, as I was mentioning earlier, a former military vet herself, and we'll see how that goes. We'd like to find out a few more details regarding her situation, just to the point where we can feel confident enough that we're not getting hoodwinked, finding ourselves scammed. There are people, sociopaths out there who will, try to go that far and to practice deceptive means, I suppose. So that's all part of the fun, I guess, is sussing people out and trying to see who's legit and who's not. So, but yeah, I mean, we could go on a great further length. One thing we never did today, we did get the Telegram stream in place, but we never queued up any of the Christmas music. Oh, that's just terrible. Well, we can't have that be the case. We got to get at least a little bit of Christmas music here, just for the next maybe minute or two. So, Santa Baby, Dippy Moon. This is all royalty free content that whoops. One thing that would really help too is if we this is okay, is if we open the channel up so that people could actually hear the music as we were we're playing and live streaming things here. So, but once again, that about does it. I'm not sure what else really needs to be discussed. There's always a lot of items that we could cover and address, but we'd really rather not draw things out extensively. It really feels as if that's necessary. But a little bit of funky, laid-back Christmas music always is. Santa Baby, courtesy of Dippy Moon. Yeah, who else? But Dippy Moon. The one and only. Royalty-free. No problem with YouTube censorship. We hadn't been suspended from Facebook, of course. We need live streaming right now. As we hold on to a best understanding, royalty free, no copyright issues in place. So, yeah, Santa Baby. It'd be kind of cool to have the lyrics as well. Let's not forget. Got a little bit of snow coming away here too. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? As has been the case here via South Korea for the past couple of weeks. Little light skiffs of snow, nothing too spectacular. Definitely dropping down to near the zero, sub-zero type range. Other than potential martial law being brought down and implemented, along with having just had to endure a lousy, unprecedented 2-year period of extraordinary popular delusions and the madness of crowds within the context of the whole corona apocalypse. Life's been pretty good. Via this management, one of yourselves. We want to know. Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com is how you reach us. Pirate numeral 1 Radio at protonmail.com. Of course, the main website is always WPRPN.com. Like to give once again a big shout out, word of appreciation to Alan via Colorado Springs, Colorado. Leading force really behind the HomeNetwork.tv project. Roger Hanson out of West Frankfort, Illinois. All the listeners that we had on board this go round, a whole number of lurkers, as always, encourage you to log in. And it's really important to maintain that flow of consciousness, communication, ideas in circulation. Have your opinion, heard your voice, your views on things. Thanks, Karma Love, for being a part of things. DK Spiracy. What else are we looking at there? Nobody from Brooklyn this go around. Reverend Jim. Yeah. Hey, we just received 100 messages via Restream as well. Can we tweet it out? I don't think so. Why? We've been suspended. Both of our accounts suspended off of X now too. What is? I thought Elon, Iron Man Musk was all about free speech. Apparently not. What could the problem possibly be? It's a bit of a head scratcher. No idea. What would have led to that decision having been made. Just Mech as well last night. Just Mech out of I think Germany, essentially the border of Germany and the Netherlands. He did connect with us in that late night, early morning type slot that we have in place, and there's going to be 2 more shows where we find that set up in that way. We're going to have to hurry off because of our work schedule. That's really what it is all based on. We have to adjust and adapt. So because of our work schedule, that's the way things need to be. Late night live streaming, early morning affair, and then within just a few short hours, we're back at it here once again. 2 more times. A similar type format approach. We've got to get last night's show up and available via the archives. Across BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble as well. So, there's a lot more we could get into, of course. I like to find a little bit of time, of course, of things here. After taking care of the laundry, feeding the cats, and doing a little bit in the way of other house chores, cleaning, dusting, mopping the floor, washing the dishes. Actually play some guitar, kick back, relax, and do what I can to bring down the stress and blood pressure levels that we're having to contend with here. But what is that drone business all about anyways? It's pretty, it has Joe Rogan on edge and concerned, and he's someone who's protected by Marines. He's got a couple of Marine bodyguards supposedly on board there. Help to watch over him and I guess his family. So we'll just have to stay tuned and alert folks. But yeah, it's quite a ploy if it is an enemy hostile entity. God only knows how it's all going to play out, or it could be completely, they could be nefarious, it could be completely trumped up, as it were, and contrived, fabricated to instill a sense of fear. It could be engineered in a way where they hope that it's going to ultimately cancel the inauguration, so that Trump will not be able to serve once again as president. They tried everything else, including killing him. The lawfare didn't work. The assassination attempts, those plots, as close as they came, unsuccessful, thank God. Say what you like about the guy. America clearly was far better off with him in office than anyone else. Period. It'll be interesting to see if Kennedy at the helm there as well has an opportunity to get some good things done. Only time will tell. It's up to them, and how history remembers them exactly is yet to be determined. So, having said all this, of course, I'm your host, as always, show's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder, reminding you that until we meet again, BAB is high, often all too intrepid digital seas. Be sure to tune in hopefully next time. Check out the website and consider reaching out, getting involved, and engaging yourself in your community and perhaps beyond. So just queuing up the final, what we have here as far as clips are concerned. This is one reason we really could stand to benefit from someone who could handle this. This could be their own concern and responsibility entirely. We wouldn't have to worry about it so much ourselves here. But a little something put together by John Edmonds the third. Is it the third or the fourth? Might be the fourth. Out of New Jersey. The state of New Jersey, of all places, is kind of like what we're talking about tonight, if you can believe that. So, Merry Christmas to him. Haven't heard from him for a little while, but he was good enough to put this clip together for us. We very much appreciate it. So, hope to talk to you again soon, John, and anyone else, of course, out there listening. We'll be back again, same time tomorrow night. Happy sailing, everybody.
Looking to lend a little hand this holiday season? Do your part in helping out those in need. You might want to consider getting involved on some level with Operation Secret Santa. Here's a quick overview. Formally kicking off on December 15th, Operation Secret Santa, that's hashtag OSS, is a world grassroots, strictly people-driven, Christmas charity, telethon-styled internet campaign. Referral marketing, or what's otherwise known as word of mouth, drives the project's big red sleigh, with all money, donations, and the like going directly to the needy who are selectively sponsored. The four main categories of participants we're looking for include 1. Live streaming web show hosts, speakers, producers, and performers. 2. Operator matchmaking elves, making their lists and checking them twice. 3. Secret Santa sponsors. And 4. People in any place around the world living in need, worthy of a little Christmas hand up. This year's organizers are presently working on mobilizing and building upon last year's preliminary success, with donation levels capped at a suggested price value limit of $1,000. If you've any further questions, be sure to drop by WPRPN.com or check out our groups on both Facebook and Minds.com via a keyword search of simply Operation Secret Santa, hashtag OSS.